Welcome to Ms. K's math class. In today's video, we will learn to round decimal numbers. To round decimal numbers, we will first need a decimal number. A decimal number is a number that contains a decimal point. So for example, I could have a whole number, say 47, and I want to include a decimal number, and I'll put some numbers after the decimal point, say I have 31. To read this decimal number, you have to say the whole number first. So you say 47 and for the decimal point. And then how do we read this part here? We will have to look at the place value. So the first number after the decimal point, this is called the tenths with the THS at the end. And the one after that is called hundredths. And if I have more numbers, then it will be called thousands and so on. So with this number here, this decimal number, I can read it as 47 and 31 hundredths. Now, the second thing we need to check is, are we rounding the decimal number to the nearest whole number? Or are we rounding to one decimal place? Or are we rounding to two decimal places? Let's say that we're rounding to the nearest whole numbers. Round to the nearest whole number. And rounding to the nearest whole number means we don't want the decimal place and any digits after that. So looking at 47 and 31 hundredths, we want to round it to the nearest whole number. So the rule goes, if the digit after the one being rounded is less than 5, then we have to round down. So if the digit is less than 5, then we need to round down. But if the digit after the one being rounded is 5 or more, we need to round up. So here's the rule. So we need to identify what it means by the digit after the one being rounded. And once we know what that digit is, then we need to check whether that is less than 5 or whether that is 5 or more. So less than 5 includes 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 or more contains the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, let's go and see what it means by the digit after the one being rounded. In this question, we're rounding 47 and 31 hundredths to the nearest whole number. So the one being rounded in this question is the whole number, and that equals to the 47 here. The digit after the one being rounded would be then the 3. So now, is 3 less than 5? Or is the 3 5 or more? The 3 fits into this category, less than 5, so we need to round down the whole number. When we say round down, it simply means to keep it as it is. So the 47 stays, but we're dropping the 31. So 47 and 31, if we're rounding to the nearest whole number, it becomes 47. And it makes sense that we say round down because 47 is less than 47 and 31 hundredths. But let's say if we have another number close to 47, and this time it is 47 and 61 hundredths, then we're rounding to the whole number, so we want to see whether it's a 47 or whether it's a 48. We're looking at the digit after the one being rounded, and that is the 6 in this case. And we know that it fits into this category where it is 5 or more, so we need to round up. So the 47 needs to be rounded up to 48. Now let's use a number line to see what it looks like. So I have 47 and I have 48. In the middle of 47 and 48, it would be 47.5. So the two decimal numbers I have, 47 and 31 hundredths and 47 and 61 hundredths, Let's have a think about where they would be sitting on the number line if this is 47, 48, and 47.5. I would say 47 and 3100ths would be sitting about here approximately. And 47 and 6100ths would be about here. So now when we say we're rounding numbers to the nearest whole number, we're trying to decide whether the decimal number is closer to 47 or whether it is closer to 48. And we know that 47 and 3100ths is closer to 47 compared to 48. Whereas 47 and 6100ths is closer to 48 compared to 47. So that's why 47 and 3100ths, when we round it to the nearest whole number, the answer is 47, whereas 47 and 6100ths, when we round it to the nearest whole number, the answer that we got was 48. Here we have 5 decimal numbers, and with these decimal numbers, we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So let's just revise the rule first. The rule said that if the digit after the 1 being rounded is less than 5, then we need to round down. But if the digit after the 1 being rounded is 5 or more, then we need to round up. So keeping this in mind, let's have a look at the examples together. Here I have 6 and 326 thousandths. So we're trying to decide whether it becomes a 6 or it rounds up to a 7. And the digit after the 1 being rounded here is the 3. So we know that it is less than 5, so we will need to round this number down. And so it becomes 6. For the second question, we have 7 and 5400ths. So the digit after the 1 being rounded is 5, and the rule says that if it's 5 or more, we need to round up. So we round this number, 7 and 5400ths, up to 8. Next number, we have 199 and 6/10ths. And the digit after the 1 being rounded, so after the whole number, is the 6. So we're looking at it, and the 6 is 5 or more, so we need to round up. To round up, the 199 needs to move up by 1 number, so it becomes 200. Next one, we have 199 and 3/10. And the digit after the 1 being rounded, the whole number, is the 3. And 3 is less than 5, so we need to round down. So 199 and 3/10 rounds down to 199. Last one, if we have 18 and 7200ths, then the digit after the 1 being rounded is 7, and 7 is 5 or more, so we have to round up. So the 18 and 7200ths rounds up to become 19. With 4 and 2100ths, I'm rounding to 1 decimal place. So it means I'm going to need to cut here so that I have 1 decimal place. So the digit after the 1 being rounded would be the 1 with this question. Now I know that 1 is less than 5, so I'm going to round down. So this number of 4 and 2100ths needs to be rounded down to 4.2. Next question, I have 6 and 3900ths. Rounding to 1 decimal place means keeping only 1 decimal number. So I have to decide if I'm going to round it down to 6.3 or round it up to 6.4, and that all depends on the digit after the 1 being rounded, which is the 9. So here, I need to round it up. So 6.39 becomes 6.4 because we are rounding up. Third question, I have 11 and 54 hundredths. So I'm rounding to 1 decimal place. So it means I'm going to cut here and keep 1 decimal place. The digit after the 1 being rounded is the 4. Now the 4 is less than 5, so I will need to round down. Rounding down 11 and 54 hundredths, it becomes 11 and 5/10. Next one, I have 6 and 87 hundredths. Rounding to 1 decimal place means cutting here. And so I'm deciding whether it becomes 6.8 or whether it rounds up to 6.9. And that depends on the digit after the 1 being rounded, which is the 7. So we need to round up. And so it becomes 6.9. Last one, I have 3 and 25 hundredths. Rounding to 1 decimal place, I'm cutting here. And the digit that we're looking at is 5. 5 or more, we need to round up. So it becomes 3.3. Here we're going to round correct to 2 decimal places. So it means that with these decimal numbers, we will have to keep the decimal point and 2 digits, but get rid of the 3rd or the 4th ones. So once again, the rule says if the digit after the 1 being rounded is less than 5, then we need to round down. If the digit after the 1 being rounded is 5 or more, then we need to round up. So with this question here, I need to keep my whole number 7. I need to keep my decimal point and the 2 numbers after. So I'm cutting here. And my 3rd decimal place is 1, so I need to round down. So that means I'm rounding down, so this one becomes 7 and 54 hundredths. Next question, I'm rounding to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to cut here. I'm going to decide if the 6 has to stay or move up to a 7. And depends on my 3rd decimal place, which is a 7. So it means I need to round up. So it goes 3.90, not 6, but round it up to 7. Next question, rounding to 2 decimal places. So I'm cutting right here, and the digit after the 1 being rounded is the 4. So we have to round down. Because the 3rd decimal place is a 4, we need to round down, and so it becomes 2 and 16 hundredths. Fourth question, we're rounding to 2 decimal places, so we're cutting here, and the digit after the 1 being rounded is a 5. So because the 3rd decimal place is 5, we're moving up. So going 1 up from 8 and 99 hundredths, it has to become 9. Here is my last question for the day. We're rounding E, 6 and 271 thousandths to 2 decimal places. So we're cutting here. And the digit after the 1 being rounded is a 1. So we need to round down. So this one becomes 6 and 27 hundredths. I hope you found today's lesson on rounding decimal numbers helpful. Like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.